It's time to connect the sleeves to the body of the sweater. You can see here that I have each of these parts on a separate set of round needles. It is very helpful to have the same needle size. But if you don't, you can use holders of various sizes. Now we need to first set up the body of the sweater so that we have the underarm stitches set aside like we have them on our sleeves. I'm going to go back 7 stitches before the stitch marker, and then I'm going to cast off those 7 stitches and cast off 7 more for a total of 14. Here you see I returned myself to 7 stitches before the marker on the side of the sweater, and now I'm going to use a normal cast off method that I usually use. You can use any cast off method here, just to make sure you're not doing it tightly. Have it rather loose in tension so that it is easy to connect at the end to the sleeve. Total of 14 stitches need to be cast off here. Once you cast off 14 stitches, you're going to continue knitting across to the other side of the sweater where you're going to cast off 14 stitches again. This is how these two will come together. And now you go all the way across, and then we will do the casting off for the underarm on the other side. So let's knit across and then cast off 14 stitches again. You will want to stop 7 stitches before the marker in order to cast off 14 stitches on the other side of the sweater. And now we made it all the way to the other side, 7 stitches before the marker, and we cast off those 7 and 7 more after the marker for a total of 14. Again, a reminder to not have a very tight tension when you're casting off here. You want it nice and even, not tight, so that you can smoothly connect it at the end to the sleeve for underarm. Now that I finished casting off these 14 stitches, I continue and finish the round, going all the way across. Now things are set up and ready for connecting. I come to the side where I finished the round previously, and I take the sleeve and the body of the sweater together, and I begin knitting the round, going around the sleeve, around the body of the sweater. Here we go. I put them together. Now you're going to see that the last stitch of the body and the first stitch of the sleeve will be worked together. You're going to overlap them. I will put the stitch from the sleeve over the stitch from the body and then knit them together. It's going to maybe make you worried that the stitch is stretching. Carefully work through it, and as you go on, it's going to even out and you're not going to have a big hole. So the first stitch of the sleeve and the last stitch of the body were worked together, and then you continue on knitting around the sleeve. You can see how once you're past it, the tension evens out and there is not a stretched stitch there at the connection. When you come to the other end of the sleeves round, you will connect to the body on the front. Okay, now I put these needles away and I connect the sleeve to the body front. I will again take the last stitch of the sleeve and the first stitch of the body now and work them together. I'm holding both my working yarn and the tail from the sleeve over my fingers so that the stitch is not too stretched when I'm working on this connection. Once I have knitted these two together, I will be able to continue on across the front of the sweater. Again, just trust the process and work a few stitches and then take a look and you will see that things even out and the stitch on the connecting point is not too stretched. You will pull the tails out so that they're not in your way as you work on the rest of your sweater from this point on. And now you're going to knit all the way across to the other sleeve where you will work the similar connection. We're ready to do this connection now as well. We come here, we take the work. I come to the stitch before the last. So one stitch at the end is not worked. That's the one I will use for connecting to the sleeve. The last stitch of the body on this side and the first stitch of the sleeve are going to be worked together for the connection. And now you're going to knit all the stitches around the sleeve and connect on the other side. We keep working across. We will soon be ready to connect. And now we are ready to connect the last place where we need to overlap the stitches. We line up the cast off stitches for the underarm. You will want to hold the tails together with your working yarn so that the tension is even and you don't lose that last stitch of your sleeve work. You overlap the last stitch of the sleeve and the first stitch of the sweater body on this side, and you knit them together. You want to be careful here. If you're using the same yarn I'm using, it will sometimes split on you, so you may need to go through and redo it a few times. You don't want to have a messy looking stitch here. And then continue knitting across to finish the round. In the next episode, we will look at the work above this point, which will take you up over the shoulders and to the neckline. That's the last part. We will have the shaping decreases to shape the sweater over the shoulders. And then we will create a neckline and the rib around the neck. Happy knitting. See you soon.